Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe back, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for October, is it the 9th? 2022. So, this was a week. It was very boring at work. That's just how it was. I think it's because we're gearing up towards the winter season. So we're closing out things from the summer and things are different in what we're working on. So not as much was going through my department, which was, it was a little boring, which is fine. I got some reading done, which is good. But anyway, and then I found out one of my coworkers who I've worked with for almost 8 years accepted a position at another company. So I'm losing him. And as I said, it's just been a lot of turmoil this year. This year has just been it. It makes me think, hey, should I be looking at that too? But no, not really, not yet. I wanted to wait the year before I made any decisions. It's not like the job is bad and anything. It's just, I'm not sure. It's just a little boring sometimes for me. Anyway, so other than that, my parents, sorry, I just itched for some reason. Sorry. My parents came up again on Friday night. They're looking to buy another television. They took my brother to Costco and they were going to get one. And then they found out they didn't think it was going to fit in the van. So they couldn't buy it. So I think they were going to buy it this weekend with the pickup down there, but we'll see what happens. I haven't heard if my brother's been called to go down and help set it up, but that was kind of not a Friday night that I meant to do that. So, my family does that. Sometimes they just say, hey, we're coming. I was kind of told, and after, I was probably about after lunch sometime, I got a text saying, hey, we're on our way. We'll hang out, we'll do dinner. So that was good. We had Japanese, which was really awesome. Anyway, so that's kind of it. Nothing else is really going on. I am trying to find my motivation to start working in my office and in my guest room to try to change things around on my bookcases. I think I'm getting closer. I really want to do it before November because November is NaNoWriMo and that is National Novel Writing Month, and I will be participating. I've already done my profile and everything. If you want to friend me on NaNoWriMo, I am under Tama, or T-A-M-A, all lowercase. My book this year is called Crosswinds. We'll see if I last the whole month on the same project. Probably not, because I haven't written anything in all year. So it's going to be kind of interesting. So we'll see what happens. But if you want to do that, that's fine. And I did want to just bring up one small little thing. I have been getting bookmarks here and there over the last over a year from Double Booked Co. So I'm sure some of you know them, Danny and Laura. And so I will have their stuff linked down below. But they had some Victorian ones that I wanted to just show real quick, just because I really like them. As I said, I'm going to be using these. So I just bought a couple. And then I bought a lot of small ones. I love the little small ones. And then I bought some Halloween and fall ones. And I love this one with the little skulls and little owls and little ghosts. Anyway, so they have, and this other one, this green ghost was my favorite one. So, and again, the backs are all like different designs and things. I really, as I said, I've bought bookmarks from them over the year, whenever they opened, and I've been buying. And I love the little small mini ones because they're good for mass markets. So I bought a pack, and then they sent a few along because I'd made a couple orders. But anyway, and a cute little sticker, little book nerd sticker. Anyway, I just, because I just did that unboxing from the Kickstarter that I put up on Saturday, I did want to mention that I have been using their Etsy shop, and I will have that linked down below. I really love their bookmarks, and I guess I just want to talk about it. Anyway, so just in case you were wondering. So, okay. So, my reading this week, as I said, I read quite a bit, but I also DNF'd a lot of things. I am definitely, right now, which is really good, is I'm focusing on books I own. And they're all the kind of spooky, mystery, gothic ones that I've been collecting that I just never get around to reading sometimes. So this month, again, I am doing Victober. So I am intersecting Victober reads, which I have, and I've completed a few, which is nice. But I'm also trying to get more spooky witchy horror books in, and some of them have worked and some of them have not. So I actually have 3 DNFs, and I have good reasons mostly. So we'll see what happens. So let's get started with, I'm just going to go in order of books I started, and then if I DNF'd them or continued on the show. The first DNF, unfortunately, was Witch the Lighthouse, Witches by C.J. Cook. I wanted to love this book. The premise is really cool, of a woman who takes her 3 daughters in the late 90s and goes to this Scottish island to do a mural inside of a kind of a faux lighthouse called The Longing. And it has some sordid history, and it's an island that is very much not super touristy. It's very much, you know, small, or it has some, but it's not super, like, it's very quiet there. And she has brought her children there. And then we also get the timeline of one of the daughters, like 20 some years later, and she is dealing with the aftermath of her life, of some of her sisters and her mother going missing. And she was now in her 30s, she gets a call that they found her youngest sister, but the problem is her sister is not 29 like she should be. She's actually still 7. And so there's this mystery thing. There's, like, I'm guessing there's going to be witches and stuff. I just couldn't get that far. I got to the point of 90 pages in, and they were so unlikable, all these characters. Like, I really just didn't like any of them, and I didn't care what happened to them. And I think that is a problem for me. If I can't root for my characters, I don't care. And I didn't like any of them. I didn't like the mother all that much. I didn't like the girls, the 2 that we do get perspectives from. One, because one was a teenager, and she's just, when we get her POV, it's just, she's annoying. And then there's a lot of lying in here on certain things that I got so mad about already, and it wasn't even far in. And then it was like a little lie that finally broke me. And it was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm just done. I just don't care enough to continue. So again, I made it 90 pages, so about 25% of this book. And I just was like, no, that's okay for me. So that is a book that'll be going away. I then picked up The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana, and I loved this book. This was so fun. It was very light. So we're following, oh, I've read so many books this week, Mika, and she is a witch, and there's this, it's a really interesting society where the witches are, and they're not supposed to be with other witches, and that has affected her life greatly from her birth on, of why she is by herself. And so now she's in her 30s, and she puts videos on YouTube that like she's pretending to be a witch, but she's a witch, you know, kind of thing. And it's really cute. She these people ask her to come and help tutor a few children who need help right away because of something that's coming up. And so she decides to take a chance and go. And it's her getting to know the kids as well as the adults who are in charge of the kids. And there is a love story, which is cute. And I really love this overall. I think there was one, again, it's one of those things where they didn't tell her something for a while that kind of pissed me off, which is typical. You get a trope where people are lying to each other. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. I think overall it kind of it bounced back from that. Like, it was pretty good. I liked the way it ended up. I liked how things went. It was very light, and I would say it's really on the same as like the House in Cerulean Sea, and what was the other book I just read? Oh, I don't own a copy of it yet. Oh, The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. And there's another book I was thinking of that this was like, and I can't think of what it is. But I mean, it's like, it's very, I really love the characters. I got to know them, and I liked being with them and hanging out with them and seeing what happened to them. And as I said, it was really a cute story. As I said, with witches and magic and stuff. And it was just, I thought it was really cute overall. I thought it was a very different take on witches and stuff. I really enjoyed this. So I would recommend this one. I really, really enjoyed that. Then I went to horror because I knew I had some on my shelf that I just haven't gotten to. And so I thought, okay, you know, Darcy Coates was one I picked up kind of on a whim when our Barnes & Noble closed down. So they had a sale last October. And I think I bought a couple of books just because it was really cheap. And so I bought this new, but it was, you know, very reduced anyway. And we got our Barnes & Noble back, if I didn't mention that before. They had to rebuild in a different part of the strip mall. Anyway, so, but I got this one, and it turns out it wasn't the Darcy Coat everybody was talking about. They were always talking about the Ashburn house, and, was it the Haunting of Lee Harker were the ones I'd heard of. But I picked this one up because it was the one there that sounded interesting to me. So this follows, Mara, who, grew up with people who are parents who are very spiritual, who were into seances and believing in ghosts and things. And so her childhood is pretty much wrecked by this. And so as a young adult, now she's in her early 20s, she has left her parents. She doesn't want anything to do with them. She is living on her own, and she's looking for a new place because her lease is coming up on her apartment, but she saved money to buy a house, and her house hunting goes kind of astray when she sees Blackwood House, and it's really low price for what it is, and she decides to go for it because she's just so intrigued by this big house and the prices she can get for it. Of course, there's a sordid history with it, with people who have died there in the past. So again, this is very much a haunted house book. I love her boyfriend, Ned. He is like a saving grace in this book because Mara drove me crazy in different parts of this book. And things that she thought about him and what he thought was going on in the house. And, you know, again, she is very anti anything supernatural. So she was like, it's not happening until things get so bad that, of course, she has to acknowledge that it's happening. I like the twist in here of who comes to the house. I like how it goes in the end. I really liked the end. And, I was surprised by that. There was a point in it where I was rolling my eyes. I think I marked it here with her thinking about Ned of a certain thing that he thought or said, and it had to do with religion. She's very anti-religion, and I just think she was a little over the top a lot of times. But this was a fun read. I read this super fast. I read this in 2 days. I really enjoyed this enough, and it had really great jump scares. I was going to say that. This is just, I don't read a lot of horror anymore. And I don't like to watch horror because I don't like the jump scares in horror, but it's really good in a book where you're like, oh, that surprised me. Like that something happened. The way she wrote it really well. I'm very, gonna definitely pick up more books by her. I think she might be a kind of a horror author that I like because they're haunted house ones. I love haunted house ones. But I like the way this was done. It was just so much fun. And again, I may not have liked Mara 100%, but I still liked her journey, and I liked what happened in here and how all the connections, things wrapped up, because it wasn't a super surprise. I kind of guessed, kind of the final, little twist. I kind of guessed that, but it was good the way it went. It still was jump scares and things that are happening that I didn't expect that happened up till that point. So I just thought it worked out. Again, I'm not going to say it's super horror. I just think this is a good haunted house book, and I really enjoyed it. And I definitely am picking up more by her. Now, I might not keep my copy. I don't think I'll ever reread this book, but I definitely might be picking up books from my library or finding used copies along the way. I really enjoyed it, and I'd like to read more by her. So that was a win. That worked out really well. So then let's talk about 2 more of my DNFs that I tried. I think they were Thursday, and Thursday and Friday. So we'll do Thursday first. So this one, I definitely want to still read from this author. So this is one that I think I just picked the wrong book to be my first book, and that is The Reckoning of Gosmere Pond by Jamie Jo Wright. And I think the reason I messed up is because it does have a reporter trope, journalist trope in this, and it's in the early timeline. This has dual timelines. In the 1909, I think is the first section, 1907. We're following a girl whose father is one of the owners of the newspaper, and so she finds a what do you call those things? Obituary for somebody she doesn't know she said doesn't think he was dead. So she went to his house to check to see why she got this in the news slot, and she finds him dead. And so then she's connected to that story. And then there's a modern timeline following a girl who, or a young woman who finds out that somebody who's kind of like a hermit in the area has pictures of her from when she was a child all the way up till she's older, and she's never talked to him. She didn't really deal with him, so she's not sure why he knows so much about her. And then so again, there's mysteries of how the obituary came before the guy had actually died, and then there's the timeline of the woman who finds out that this hermit has pictures of, or had knew so much about her, and she has a past. They all have pasts. Anyway, the point is, the problem with this one for me again was the journalistic, because right away we get the two guys in the newsroom who are talking about the death and what they can print and everything in 1907, and I just, it was just pissing me off the more I listened. And then both timelines, both the women were thinking, the girls were thinking, or the women were thinking about something that had happened in the past that had been traumatic for them. And for some reason, that just annoyed me, that everything was, but you know, that night that happened, it all changed that night, you know, and I just like, I am 20 pages in. This is ridiculous. So I don't think this is the book for me. I am going to try one of her other books. I think I probably would have made it farther if there hadn't been the journalism characters in here. I think I could have gotten farther. I think I just started rolling my eyes, and I was 21 pages in. So this is what I'm going to get rid of. I'm going to try to get one of her other books from the library and try that. This is just not for me. So, too bad. I'm sorry. I know some people really like her, but when I get certain characters in books that I just cannot stand, I have trouble. Which is another problem. Here we go. So this is Witch Please by Anne Irregular. So this is her, one of her newer series. I don't know if there was a series name for it. I know there's a second book that just came out. Sorry, my cats are crying. So I had problems with this as well. I didn't get I got 54 pages in before I just was like, I can't do this. So we're following Danica, and she is a witch, and she and her cousin run they fix electronics, and appliances, and called it Fix It Witches, which is cute. Anyway, so she has a business with her cousin. They both have sworn off dating because they've had bad things that happened to them in the past, kind of thing. And the book starts off with her having just gone to her ex's fiance's bachelorette party. It was kind of, so she, you know, I don't know, she was trying to prove a point. I don't know. So that was kind of weird to me. Anyway, but then she meets Titus, who is, he has a baker, and he runs a business a couple blocks away, and his oven stopped working, so he'd gone to get her to get an appointment to have her come. He is immediately attracted to her. She likes the look of him, but she is thinking Rebound, and he is thinking Forever within the first couple pages. He is like a cinnamon bun. Like, I just love him. Like, he was so sweet. And I just could not handle what her attitude was of what she was thinking. And I'm only 50 pages in. And I just was like, I can't do this. So, unfortunately, this is the second or third book by her that I have tried and DNF'd. So, I think this author is just not for me. I don't think her humor, there is some funny parts in here, but I just don't think it works for me. So, unfortunately, this is another DNF. I'm going to get rid of this book, and I think this author is just not for me. That happens sometimes. It wasn't going the way I wanted it to. And I really like Titus. I just could see the train wreck coming. And I just couldn't do it. Oh, why do I have anyway. So let's talk about the last two that I finished, which are both for Victober. So Victober is, again, a month-long readathon that's going on, put on by Katie at Books and Things, Kate Howe, Petra Yu, Marissa at Blatantly Bookish, and Roz at Scandal Dangling About the Books. I hope that's right. Anyway, so The Professor by Charlotte Bronte is the last Bronte novel that I needed to read. This one was my highest priority for October. This is like the, other than Buddy Read that I'm doing in another week or so, this is really the only other book that was on my TBR that I had to read because I wanted to finish all the Bronte books so that now I can read nonfiction. So this is actually Charlotte's first novel. It was not published until after her death. It was rejected, and she went on then to write Jane Eyre. So this one and Villette share a lot of commonalities. There's a lot of themes and certain characters who are very reminiscent from this to Villette. Villette and I did not get along all that well. I didn't hate it, but it was a long slog. This was short and still kind of a slog, but I liked the beginning and the lead up to the end, but not the last, like, 15 pages. It was kind of annoying. So this follows William, who we find out, you know, he's just left college and or university, and he is trying to make his way in the world, and he does not want to become a clergyman like his uncles want him to be, and he doesn't want to be trapped that way. And so he decides to go into trade on a whim because his older brother is in trade. So he goes to live with live near his brother and works for him for a while. But his brother is very bad person. He's not very nice to him. They've been very estranged for most of their lives because of the way what their parents passed and how they went their separate ways and stuff. So then at some point, William decides to go to Brussels, and he decides to be a teacher. And then he's a teacher at both a boys' school and the next door school that is for women or for girls. Kitty, why did it every day now? Stop it. So, so again, this was very reminiscent of parts of Villette, of how she got there and how she got, you know, that job was done in that one. It is, again, I said, I did not hate this. I just didn't, like, enjoy it. As I said, I liked the beginning and most of the end, except I would have cut out the last 9 to 15 pages. It matters on how you want to put it. I figured there was a part you could just stop, like, really perfectly, and then I'm like, finish it there. But no. She goes on to explain more of what happens, and I was like, this is ridiculous. So I didn't like the tail end of it. I thought it was kind of extraneous and unnecessary. I think it went too far after we got to the kind of the conclusion of what this book was working towards with William's I think of it's a coming of age because of his becoming an adult kind of thing, and his adult responsibilities and how he makes the choices that he makes. So I did like his ultimate love interest. I liked how that came about. I have no problem with any of that. It was more, I don't know, it just the middle part was just a slog. But so I read quite a bit of this last week on Saturday. So I started off really strong, and then I had to force myself to read 2 chapters a day all week until Friday, when I finally just, okay, I'm 60 pages from the end. I'm going to just try to read it out. And I did. So I did get this done. My favorite character was, it has Hunson or something. I loved him because he was just chaos. And the things that he did. So, move it so you can see the cat. Sorry. So he was like the saving grace of when he was there, but he was only, again, he was not there all the time, of course. But I did like him, even though he may have not done things the way he should have. Anyway, so overall, I think, I'm going to do a ranking of the Bronte novels, here, in the next week. I'm going to think about it because it's really funny because I've rated all of them 3 or 4 stars except for one. And if you've been on my channel, you know which one's number 1, which one has only 1 star. Not because it was written badly, it's because I reacted badly to it. So it's going to be interesting to see how I rank them. So I will be doing that. I think that'll be fun. So I'm going to do that. So look forward to that. But I've finished all the Bronte novels, which I'm really happy about. And then yesterday I picked up The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells. This was going to be the next short one I was going to pick up. And this is a reread for me. I believe I read it in college. And I didn't remember much of anything. I had vague images in my head of this, but I don't know. They weren't all that right. So we're following Edward Pendick. So he is kind of stranded at sea. He was in the ship went down and he was in a raft or in a lifeboat, and he gets picked up by another ship that is going to this island that's nobody, doesn't really know much about this island. And he is kind of forced to get off the ship at that island, and he's trapped there with a man, Montgomery, who had been on the ship with him and saved his life. And then also Dr. Moreau. And then it's kind of like talking about all this stuff, and we all know what Dr. Moreau did on that island. I was surprised at the way this went. I didn't remember, as I said, I couldn't remember anything about this except for a few images, and it really wasn't what I remembered. So it worked out really well to reread this. I've been wanting to reread this because I read, what is it? The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss. And I love that series, but they had a couple characters that were based loosely, and they talked about Dr. Moreau in that. And when I read that last year, I kept thinking, that's not how I remember the story going. Like, I mean, certain things I remembered, but not enough. But anyway, so I've been meaning to pick this up. I bought this last year to read, and I didn't get to it. So I'm glad I picked it up and finished it. It's my second Victober read, because this was I can't remember if it was 1896. I can't remember what year this one was. Yeah, 1896. So again, it's still in the Victorian era. So I do want to read now more H.G. Wells. It's been so long. I also have read War of the Worlds back in the day. I don't remember anything about that one except for, a few things in that as well from movies and stuff. So I do have that on my shelf, but I might pick up like The Time Machine and The Invisible Man. I don't know what else. If there's other H.G. Wells you think I should pick up, let me know. But anyway, I really enjoyed this, actually, even though it didn't go any way I expected. And I'm just glad I finished it. It was the last book of the ones that were hinted at in The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, that series. And I'm just so glad that I finally got to it. So that's all the stuff that I have finished. I'm in the middle of reading The Night is Darkening Round Me by Emily Bronte. This is her collection of 30 of her poems. So I'm reading one a day. So I have read 8 so far. I haven't read my one for today yet. So as I said, I just read one. I'm not big on poetry. I do like her poetry for the most part. There's definitely a few lines that I'm really impressed with, that I like. The imagery, it is dark and kind of depressing on some of them. But well, as I said, so I'm going to finish this since I already own this little black classic and I haven't read. I need to read some poetry for that prompt, so I am working on that. Till the other Victober read that I'm in the middle of is Mary Barton by Elizabeth Gaskell. So I am almost to the point where I stopped a couple of years ago when I read this. I am listening to it this time by Juliet Stevenson. So, so far that's really good. Again, she's a great narrator. My problem is just getting myself to listen to this. And this week, as I said, I was struggling with The Professor, where I knew I had to read a couple chapters every, so there's only a couple days I listened to this. So as I said, I'm 64 pages in. Well, about 60 pages in. And then, so I'm just about to cross where I stopped last time. So this week, this is going to be my Victober, like this is the one I'm going to focus on. I'm going to try to get through this so that I can continue on. And then the other book I'm in the middle of right now is Always Practice Save Hex by Juliet Cross. This is book 4. Yeah, book 4 in the Stay a Spell series. Yes. So the 5th one is supposed to come out on ebook at the end of the month. So I want to get this done so that I'm caught up on this series before the last book comes out. Or not the last book, the next book that is in the series. So this is following a group or a family of 6 witches in this family. They're sisters, and each book is their their love story with some other supernatural things. So I really enjoy this family. They're really, you get to know them through the books. And this one is dealing with Livy, who is the one that I don't know as much about. So it's kind of interesting to get with her, but I liked the, Gareth, who is her love interest, who is a Grimm, so we get to learn more about that, those kind of characters. So I'm enjoying this so far. I did not read it yesterday, but I started on Friday night after I DNF'd, Witch Please. But I want to, I'll focus probably this on a lot today, maybe, and try to get through it by tomorrow or something. I'm really enjoying that. So there's that. So really quick, oh, I talk so much, but I did read a lot this week. So, I'm going to try to pick up sometime this week, The Signal Man by Charles Dickens. It's a little ghost story. I bought this last year, but I didn't get to read it. So I want to read that. We'll put that there. I haven't decided if I'm going to pick up Shadows of Self yet. I know I was supposed to read this in September, but I figure I'm okay still. I still got to read 2 books before the Lost Metal comes out in middle of November. And again, I'm like really high on my library list, so I'll probably get it within the first week. So I need to read this month. So I can only read Bands of Mourning, at least the early part of November. We'll see. So anyway, I still want to get back to this. This is Mistborn Era 2, the second book in that series. So I'm not in a fantasy mood. So an epic fantasy. This is more Western and mystery with fantasy, so I hope to get back into this one. We're going to try that. If not, I have several books that are sitting next to me. I do have one library book, A Taste of Gold and Iron, which is mammal fantasy romance, so I might read that one. Political stuff, so we'll see. The Highland Witch by Susan Fletcher, the Witch of Willow Hall by Hester Fox, and The Animals of Lockwood Manor by Jean Healy are all sitting next to me. Like, I could pick up these ones too. So I don't know what I'm going to pick up. As I said, I also have, let's see if I can show you, all those sitting there. Oops, I'm going to fall over. Those are all the books that I have sitting on this table waiting for me to pick as well. So anyway, that's it. That's all. I've talked way too much. As I said, it was a weird reading week, but I did have quite a few things. But I think I'm going through books that I own mostly. As I said, I do have a library book in here that I might want to get to this week. We'll see. I might try and not want to read it right now. I might just try it to see if I want to buy it later when it comes out in paperback. I just don't know if I'm going to get to it. As I said, I found so many more books on my shelf that I want to get to. I'm just not sure I'm going to get to I'm not going to get to everything. So, but we'll see what happens. So real quick before we go, I have cleared the board for the next 3 months. So, what did I read? I read, well, a lot of these don't count. I read a horror, and I read two Victorians. So I get those, but I don't get the horror and I don't get the witch one. So those ones don't. But I have 3 in DNFs. And I am going to count the Island of Dr Moreau as a reread because that was a reread. Even though I really have no memory of it. Anyway. So that's the start of the board. As I said, some of the books don't count towards some of the stuff that I mark due to the fact that they're not part of the series or anything. So at least I don't think they are at this point. So anyway, that is kind of where we're at on that. And that is it. So let me know how your reading is going. Are you doing Victober? Are you doing spooky reads? Are you intermixing like I'm trying to do? As I said, I just have so many books in both for both things I want to do that I'm trying to trade off. And it's worked so far. And I've also DNF'd quite a bit. So it's like, it's a give and take. So anyway, that's it. I will probably have my book haul for September up later this week. And I think that's it. So anyway, let me know what you're reading, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.